Yo, back again.
Today, another UFC related video.
Because we are the kings of MMA knowledge.
You really can't.
Ask us anything about MMA, except for who those three people were.
Yep.
And we will tell you.
I get called casual every week in every comment section, but it doesn't stop me from trying to be the god of knowledge.
We are the casual hunters. We will hunt down the casuals. Today, I saw this video online.
Yep.
It's basically talking about champions versus current GOATs.
Yep.
No, current champions versus GOATs.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with flyweight, and depending on how long it takes us, might do a part 2. We might get through all of it.
Yep.
But we should just probably jump straight into it.
We should.
We figured out who the champions, who the GOATs are. We already knew who the champions were.
Casual.
Yeah. Flyweight, obviously you've got Demetrius Johnson, GOAT, versus Davidson Figueiredo.
Maybe we'll just should we just carry it? Should we just start it now? Talking about it.
Yeah.
About DJ vs Fig.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna do.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this would be an exciting matchup.
Yeah, well, Demetrius Johnson, he's proven even in one championship that he can compete with some good fighters over there. Obviously, he didn't win the title.
Different rules,
different rules.
I think he will win the title.
I would have loved to see another fight with him and Cejudo. Even that,
I mean, that second fight was
close fight.
Very close. It literally could have gone either way.
I did think that Cejudo slightly edged it, but honestly, it could have gone either way. It should have probably just been a draw, to be honest, if you could have done that.
Problem is, if it was going to be a draw, Dana was always going to give it to Cejudo, because that was DJ's last fight on his contract, wasn't it?
No, true. Well,
no, because he
traded for Askren.
Once he
contract.
Won that fight, though, that was everyone. There's nobody else in that division that was even coming close.
Yeah, I think Demetrius would probably beat Figueiredo.
I reckon, yeah. I think he's got a good enough chin to withstand a shot.
We've seen Figueiredo get taken down and submitted by Moreno. And obviously the cardio would be on Demetrius' side.
Just because of the weight cut. The weight cut that Figgy has is so ridiculous.
And we've seen Demetrius versus power hitters before, and he'd been able to survive them, and I just think Figueiredo's really good and well-rounded as well, but I think Demetrius is just...
It's a whole nother level, like pound-for-pound GOAT, almost. He's like top 4 or top 3.
Yeah, so Demetrius...
I reckon takes that by...
Decision, probably. Do you reckon decision?
I reckon he could get a sub. I reckon he could get like a 3rd or 4th round sub, just like outwork Figueiredo.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, this is not taking anything away from the losers, because obviously you have to be good to...
And we're talking about the GOAT here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Demetrius, so it's not really that much of a big deal losing to Demetrius.
We'll move up to bantamweight now.
Yeah.
Obviously, the GOAT is Dominic Cruz.
Pretty much
in our opinion.
by stats.
Yeah. Because
he went undefeated for ages, even though he took so much time off. He's barely even had that many fights in the UFC, really.
What is he, like 13? I swear it's like it's either like 12 or 14 or something. Like, he really hasn't had that many. Or his record, sorry, is like, but he hasn't had that many fights. And then we've put Jan/Sterling because technically there is no champion.
Well, there is technically,
but it's Aljamain Sterling, who's a bum.
Yeah.
And there's
he's not a bum.
No, he's not a bum. He's a pussy.
He's a bum for his actions, I'd say.
Yeah, and there's Petr Yan, who is interim champion.
I think Cruz would lose to both of these fighters pretty easily. And
his takedown defense isn't bad.
Yeah, maybe he would beat Aljo.
I think he'd beat Aljo. I don't think he beats Petr Yan.
He definitely does not beat Petr Yan.
Petr Yan is just so well-rounded in everything.
I feel like as far as GOATs go, like, Cruz isn't really... he's probably at the bottom of the list. If we look at all these GOATs here, Cruz...
Yeah.
He's not really like this champion who just went through absolutely dominating and destroying everyone. Really.
And he's not as clear cut as everyone else. I think people might say Dillashaw, even though the drugs do not help.
Yeah.
I think Petr Yan will end up as...
it's just, especially bantamweight, there hasn't been anyone who's really been able to sustain it, because obviously you had Cejudo win the belt and beat Cruz, but he only had like 2 fights in bantamweight.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like you said, Dillashaw had the belt, but I don't know. So, yeah, I'd say Jan pretty easily beats Cruz.
But I think it could go either way.
With Sterling.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
Because I think, like, I don't know. Maybe I would lean more towards Sterling. Because I feel like Cruz just doesn't have much power.
No, he has none.
Yeah, and I feel like that could work in the advantage of Aljo. Like, the reason he was getting so messed up against Petr Yan is because, like, he was just getting tagged with, like, heavy shots and stuff. Like, I reckon because there wouldn't be that threat of getting knocked out, it might not be as bad for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd probably lean... I mean, it's probably going to be a decision either way. Cruz has a pretty good chin.
Yeah. Well, the only person who did knock him out was Cejudo, and that was contested.
No, it wasn't.
And you've seen him, like, you've seen his recovery.
But, like, if we're talking about, like, GOAT, we're talking about prime Dominic Cruz. Yeah. I don't think he gets knocked out.
Even against Garbrandt, like, his recovery was really good. And
yeah.
And his last fight against Pedro Munoz, even when he's, like, more on
yeah,
the
he did
end
get
of
dropped
his career.
there. But, yeah, still a good
well.
chin. I reckon he loses to Petr Yan. Maybe a split decision win against Sterling.
It would be close, but
yeah, it would go either way, I reckon.
Yep. Featherweight, we've got Max versus Volk, which we've seen twice, and Volk's won twice. And I just feel like Volk probably beats him again, to be fair. But I don't know, I feel like Max has done so much more for that division.
Well, that's why he's the GOAT at the moment.
I reckon if Volk bet Max again, he still wouldn't even be the GOAT, as weird as that sounds. Like,
I reckon if he beats Max again...
I feel like the shit Max has done in that division is just unlike anything.
But once he beats, like, Chen Sung Jung, or not once, if he beats Chen Sung Jung, and if he beats Max again, maybe like a Calvin Kattar after that.
Yeah. It's just like the type of performances Max has put on is like once in a lifetime performances, and he's done it twice, like against Ortega, against Calvin Kattar. And fuck, I don't like. I've
Volk
just never seen.
Shut that all down.
I know, but I've just like Volk's never. I don't know.
Volk fucking murdered. Volk murdered Brian Ortega.
Yeah.
Not as much as.
It's just like I don't know. It doesn't seem like Volk. He just is kind of just like a decision fighter to me, if you get what I mean. Like, he just does shit to win, which I know that's why he's champion.
I think he still does like enough to not be boring.
Yeah.
Like, he does more than Izzy.
It's kind of like, you know, when there'll be like a contender or something fighting and they're like, oh, you know, if he really wants to get the notice of the champion or whatever, or get a title shot, he's got to do something here to like prove himself. I feel like Volk's almost that in championship form. Like, I don't know. I just want to see him just
He dominates, though.
He does, but...
just not with finishes.
It's more just with technique than anything else.
Yeah,
like, kind of
I
like
don't know, I love that. Like Colby.
Yeah. I don't know. But
I think Volk ends up as featherweight GOAT, I reckon.
Lightweight, Khabib Charles. This is obviously the matchup everyone talks about now.
I think it's probably going to be recency bias, though, isn't it?
What would you say, Charles?
No. Like, I reckon that's why a lot of people would probably say Charles. I reckon Khabib still gets it done.
Been saying Charles. I don't know what people.
Well, no, but a lot of people were saying like, "Oh man, I wonder how this matchup would go." Like, but I think it's almost a bit more clear cut. I think Khabib still dominates.
Khabib's definitely never fought anyone that well rounded, and especially because he is the grappler versus like that high level jiu-jitsu. But then
I reckon he's so much more powerful than what Charles is a stick man.
Yeah.
Even though he struggles to make weight, like.
And we've seen, it's not like he just instantly submits people when he gets taken down. Like
he takes damage to get to those positions.
And we've seen him get submitted, and we've seen him, like, people have been able to hold him down before.
Khabib dropped Conor. Like, he has strength in those hands. He fucked Gaethje up as well.
I'd probably say Khabib, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Charles won. But I wonder,
is it like, maybe it's the Tony thing again, where I think now that we look back on it, if Tony ever fought Khabib, I think he would have got fucked up.
Yeah. But I feel like Charles has proven himself a lot more than Tony ever did.
That threat of of the submission is just always going to be there.
Because, like, Tony never really even submitted that many people.
The only other thing... Oh, no, I just mean, like,
he did submit a few people, but it's not like... I just don't think it was
But it was
really,
off his back that he, like, people were like, he's so dangerous.
But was he really?
I just think the other thing...
Well, he was, but I feel like he was... it's easy to say this now, that he was pretty, like, kind of overrated in those aspects that people thought he'd won.
The other thing I think you take into account is Khabib does a lot of his work on the fence, and there's not much room to work for submissions if you're pinned up against the fence.
Mm.
Like, if you're in the middle of the octagon, yeah, you can, like, work on your back, but if you're, like, held up against the cage... Think of how Conor got finished, how bloody Dustin got finished, how Justin got finished, all on the fence. I don't think there's that room to work with if you're Charles.
Yeah.
So I reckon this is Khabib. Easy.
Well, Khabib never retired, but then I also like seeing Charles as champ, so... I don't know. Yeah, I'd say Khabib. By first round, flying.
Who would have even fought Khabib after he beat Justin? Because Dustin wasn't going to get a rematch, Conor wasn't going to get a rematch, and at that time there wasn't really another contender like there is now.
I honestly reckon Conor would have, because that was before he fought
Dustin. That's a good point.
That was right after he beat Cowboy.
That's a good point.
So I'd actually said it would have been Conor.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But yeah, I reckon Khabib still wins that.
Just giving it to Tony anyway.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah, but whatever. I guess it was never meant to be.
Moving up to welterweight.
GSP versus Osman. I think this one is like the most fucking I don't know one.
I think you'll be surprised.
Motherfucker.
I think Usman.
I was watching Usman versus Masvidal again actually, and I was saying while watching that, fuck, I reckon Usman would smash GSP, but then every time I think about it, I'm just not sure.
I think it comes back to at the end of the day, like, I think GSP would not have if you put GSP in his prime in current day, I just don't think he holds up as well. I think it's the competition.
We even saw prime GSP with quite a few weaknesses, and whereas Osman, like, we've never really seen him in trouble. Like
Colby, he didn't have him in trouble, but he definitely wobbled.
No, but like we saw GSP get knocked out by fucking Matt Serra, so we've seen that he's able to be knocked out by someone who's like not even good at all.
I think GSP loses to Colby.
And then we've seen GSP get taken down multiple times, whereas Osman, well, like, as far as the stats go, he's never been taken down.
No, that's a lie. He has twice.
Yeah, but like as far as the UFC is saying. So, like, I don't know. I honestly think Osman at this point probably is already
the GOAT.
Welterweight GOAT.
I think a few more wins and he probably gets it.
Yeah, well, obviously for everyone to recognise it, but I think
once he beats Leon,
the shit Osman's done, like, absolutely just knocking people out.
Lapped everybody, beat everyone
also
twice.
just take into consideration, like, if people have, like, fights of the years and shit as well, like, that that adds to the GOAT status.
That's not always a good thing, though, having fights of the year. Maybe if it's, like, a dominant, like a Volkanovski versus Ortega fight of the year, but like a Usman versus Colby, where it was quite close. Maybe the first one where he got the finish was a bit more leeway, but, you know, it's not always the best to be in 5-round wars that are closely contested, you know?
Yeah.
But I reckon Usman smashes.
I'd say, I actually would say Usman as well.
I just really don't think GSP would translate well to the modern day. Like, if we're talking, obviously if he was training and stuff in modern day, he would adapt a lot better, but in terms of skill set versus skill set.
And when you look at, like, the fighters, I think Osman pretty clearly probably has been fighting.
Would have better fighting better people, better cardio, better stand up.
That's why when people are like, oh, like, look at the title defences and the win streak, it's like,
not the same. Look at who Anderson Silva was beating for the middleweight title.
Yeah.
Like, it does not count.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Anderson versus Israel.
Middleweight.
This is hard, like, because as you were just saying, Anderson, like, obviously not fighting fighters that were really anywhere close now, but fuck, Anderson in his prime, the striking, even though it was on people we could probably do it to quite easy, it was fucking insane, and he had the jiu-jitsu as well.
I reckon Anderson wins. When I think of striking versus striking, I think they're probably on par. Maybe Izzy a little bit more in terms of maybe not versatility, but like I feel like he's better with his whole arsenal. Do you know what I mean?
I think though Anderson's had those fights like against Meyer when he did absolutely fuck all when he tries.
He did the same thing though against Vettori.
I was gonna say like when Anderson tries, I think he would look like better than Israel. Like I don't know about better, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's like if they were having a competitive fight, I don't know. I just feel like Anderson would look like he's winning. I don't know. I don't know.
I think Anderson wins. I don't think either of them knock each other out. I think their movements and like, I mean, I guess Anderson's chin's probably a bit more suspect than Izzy's, but I don't think Izzy has. Oh, but he kind of does have power. But I don't think maybe it's. I feel like it's power for people that don't move their heads.
Yeah.
But like when you think of Anderson's defense and stuff, that probably, like I don't think he gets knocked out. Think of the times he actually did get finished. Weidman being a dickhead.
That was it?
Yeah.
Well, you're a whole, but I don't even count. I don't really even count, like, the last couple of losses of his...
Well, yeah, if we're talking prime, like...
So...
I think Anderson gets it, man. And I think the jiu-jitsu as well. Obviously, Izzy's not going to go for takedowns, and I don't think Anderson would either.
I just feel like Anderson's highlight reel compared to fucking Izzy. As I said before, against probably better, like easier people.
I don't really take into consideration.
I still feel like
Anderson
could do that against the fighters that Israel's fighting as well. If he was in his prime,
I think he'd. Oh, I don't know. See, I don't even know if he'd win. I feel like Whittaker would probably beat him, but I don't know. Kind of, but then I can't really say Whittaker would beat him and Izzy wouldn't, can I? I don't know. That's probably the closest one in my opinion.
I'm gonna say Anderson.
It would probably be a very boring split decision though, wouldn't it?
It would probably be him versus Yoel. Fucking Izzy.
Yeah.
Like dancing around the ring, really. I don't know. I honestly don't really know because we don't know how good Anderson, with all these fighters, would have been at this current time.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
But I just think Anderson in his prime was like the most insane fighter. So
yeah, he was. He was just fucking up everyone.
For that, I'm just gonna say Anderson, but I mean, it could easily be Israel.
Yeah, light heavyweights. I mean, this one is like he beat. Yeah, I was gonna say Prime Jones did beat Prime Glover.
I don't even think Glover's even that much better now. Like,
no, that's what I mean. I don't think he's in his prime.
He's just been able to kind of sustain the same level and beat people, but fuck.
This would be a murder.
Prime Jones is the greatest fighter ever, so he's not, like, Glover's obviously not beating him.
Yeah, I don't even think we need to spend that much time.
No, I'm already done with it.
Like, I can't think of a single fighter that Prime John Jones wouldn't beat.
Neither. He would
like,
beat everyone.
Heavyweight, light heavyweight, middleweight.
If you, like, had, like Prime John Jones...
Beats Stipe.
At heavyweight, like, not affected by the weight, he'd beat everyone in that weight as well.
Beats Francis, beats Stipe, beats DC.
Yeah.
Loses to Cyril Gane. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he beats all these people.
So yeah, heavyweight Stipe versus Francis. I mean, we did kind of see Prime Stipe versus Francis.
I feel like we saw Prime Stipe versus up and coming Francis, and then declining Stipe against Prime Francis. Because I don't think Stipe was himself in that. Like, he went through 3 fights with DC before he got to that next Ngannou fight.
I honestly reckon he still could have, like, that last fight.
It looked like he didn't give a shit.
Yeah. I still do think in that last fight against, like, that Stipe and Francis had, if that was Prime Stipe, he still could have lost that exact same way.
But he could do that against anyone.
Yeah.
Like, that's just Francis's power.
This could definitely go either way.
I reckon... I don't know. But I mean, I don't think Francis got any more powerful since that first Stipe fight.
He definitely got a bit more well-rounded, as we saw. But
I don't know about that. I think Stipe takes it. I think in terms of power, he didn't get touched in that first... Well, he did get touched, and he withheld it.
But that was Ngannou just swinging for the fences and gassing out.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, he still landed some shots, though.
I feel like Ngannou's cardio is better now.
I don't know, when has he actually been tested in terms of, like... He gassed out against Cyril Gane.
Yeah, but, like, he was still able to do shit more than he did against Stipe.
I don't agree with that. I think he just laid on him.
But that was like still doing something.
But it didn't take.
It's
I
not
mean,
like 90%
it's
of wrestlers when they fight.
no, but it's like, I mean, he didn't. That didn't take any effort. Like, it didn't take any gas.
Yeah,
tank.
but I feel like he wouldn't have been able to, like, well, I'm kind of trying to say is, like, he wouldn't have been able to even do that against Stipe in that first fight, I don't think. Like, even
I reckon he
do
would've.
any of that. Do you reckon?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to say Francis.
I reckon Stipe. I reckon Stipe takes it.
I could have gone either way, but I feel like Francis... He's looked
And
good.
that's, I don't think the smaller octagon helps as well for Stipe in that second fight.
True.
I think he's being disrespected by not being given a trilogy.
What do you reckon? What if it was like Prime Stipe versus Prime DC?
I think we got that.
Do you reckon though?
What would you consider Prime DC?
Like,
losing to John Jones?
Him versus Jones at heavyweight.
I think DC loses that to Stipe and Jones.
I don't know.
I think
it's always a conversation people have.
I don't know. Actually, that's a good point because
I feel like DC. I don't know. Was Stipe even that good?
I feel like they were both in their primes when they knocked each other out.
I feel like when Stipe bet Fabricio because Fabricio sprinted at him with no defense. Then he bet Alistair Overeem, who almost beat him, but then Overeem has no chin and got knocked out. He bet Junior, who was like pretty much at the end of his career, who didn't even really do jack shit. And then lost to DC?
Nah, beat Ngannou.
Yeah.
And then lost to DC, beat DC, lost to Ngannou.
I don't know.
I still think he's
I just feel like Prime Kane could have beat Stipe.
Nah, I don't reckon. I reckon boxing, like in terms of stand up, Stipe's levels ahead. I think shooting, Kane takes it.
I don't know, I've just never really cared about Stipe.
I never really cared about Kane.
Neither. I don't know.
I don't know. I love Stipe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I reckon that's our video, man.
That's it. It's just a discussion, really, because obviously you'll never know.
Well, Volk,
Oh, yeah.
Holloway, you might know. And then
Stipe
Francis, I guess you could know again.
Just entirely just depends on your opinion of what makes a GOAT as well, and like.
Yeah. You might not even have the same goats as us. You could have buddy
Islam.
Connor at lightweight.
Yeah.
You could have DC. You might disregard John Jones because of his drugs and have DC at light heavyweight. I don't think that changes
even
anything.
though if someone tests positive, I just still don't even really disregard them.
Because everyone was on roids back in the day.
Yeah, and even now, I'm sure so many people still are. And if you can take them and get away with it, then who fucking cares, really?
Yeah. But yeah, that brings us to the end of the list. Let us know in the comments, do you agree with our GOATs? Do you agree with our champions? Do you agree with our decisions? Let us know.
Decision.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Pedro Munoz?
Yeah. The guy.
Peace!